Donald J. Trump is now President of the United States. President
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Pro Crastinators podcast. I am the best guy in the motherfucking game, and I'm here once again with all your favorite internet shenanigan boys. Here's Hypocrite.
Everybody is a human being.
But some are gayer than others. Mumkey Jones is here.
I just saw the Japanese film Your Name in theaters, and then I went and watched the Plebe and the Weep episode, and I thought it was very funny and well edited.
Oh, well, go on to...
If only we knew the name
nice.
of the genius who edited those episodes.
Who
if
could
only
have
he
guessed?
had... If only he had a patreon.com/endlessjest that we should know about.
You have co-opted this intro segment. It's garbage now. Endless Jess is here as well, as you heard.
I'm wearing slippers.
Nice. Tom Oliver, sup?
Yeah. I'm here.
He's not on the podcast. I'm just asking him what's up.
I got
Munchie.
nothing.
He's in the room.
Is he saying he's eating his blue pills?
What on earth else could he be eating?
That's a good question.
Hoarding those blue pills, you son of a bitch. Save some for me.
Oh my god, in that new Rick and Morty episode, is that what they were feeding everyone? Is that the pills that everyone was surviving on? Oh my god. And Ben Saint, the most blue-pilled man in the world, is here.
That's right. I'm here to show you all how it's done.
Because today's topic is SJWs. It's a spicy topic. It's a heated topic. Oh, it's going to get crazy.
This will be the end of the PCP.
Most likely it'll tear us in twain and we'll never be whole again. And today's special episode has not one, but two Urban Dictionary definitions that we're reading,
God
which means you have to go to patreon.com/theprocrastinators and double your Patreon amount.
I find the term urban is totally rad, so keep going.
I thought you were going to say racist as a big SJW.
Way to explain the joke, Nate.
I fucked it up. Well, rad is a very white word as far as I'm concerned.
Read your fucking definition.
Here's the definition of SJW. Social Justice Warrior, a pejorative term for an individual who repeatedly and vehemently engages in arguments on social justice on the internet, often in a shallow or not well thought out way for the purpose of raising their own personal reputation. And that's the important part. And here's the special bonus definition today, because I thought it behooved us to define specifically social justice itself, to be a little clear as to what we're talking about here. So here is the Urban Dictionary definition for social justice. Promoting tolerance, freedom, and equality for all people regardless of race, sex, orientation, national origin, handicap, etc., except for white, straight, cisgendered males. Fuck those guys. They're overprivileged no matter what.
That's true.
That's what we're dealing.
Very
That's where
true.
we're starting.
I want to start off by saying I don't agree with that definition of social justice.
It's a meme.
Yeah, it's a joke.
It's so everything except the fuck white guys.
Ben does agree with that, though. He's like, yeah, that's me, right, Ben? That's you?
As a cis white male, I know that I deserve no rights and no consideration.
Good.
Yes.
You
But,
there,
so
boy! What day is it? Why, it's Martin Luther King Day, sir! Martin Luther King Day? Bring me some social justice!
Here's a tuppence, my lord.
For the sake of organization, I think we should start off, and everybody goes around the horn and says, what's your stance on social justice warriors?
That's a good way to start.
Probably evolve a debate from that.
That's probably
okay.
a good call.
Mumkey, why don't not you start us off?
Well, I think it's no secret that
Racist.
I'm not a fan. Yeah, okay, I'm a racist. It's fine. I'm also a sexist, a misogynist, just any ist that's negative. You can say I am. So I'm pretty much against. I'm against the idea of the social justice warrior who, like in Nate's definitions, who was very loud and obnoxious, but in a way where it's hypocritical, not in the good hippo way, or the good Gibbon way, I should say, but in the way where they want equality, in quotes, and their version of equality is special treatment for people like me and disregard the issues of others. That's what I think the modern day social justice warrior is.
Can I insert my little definition in there? I was reading about it ahead of time just to make sure I was sort of up to snuff on sort of the more accurate definition, and it's kind of this Leninist communist sort of idea in terms of society, where the goal isn't equality of outcome for all in terms of society, as opposed to eliminating the barriers.
Of outcome. That's what
Right.
it's about.
Equality of outcome in terms of society, in a social context, which necessitates a large degree of control on people to force the people above down and lift the people below up to get the same. Right. Okay. So that's
social
that's
Marxism, as the buzzword is.
Yeah. I like Leninist though, because it makes me sound smart.
It does sound cooler. I'll give you that.
Okay, Mumkey, have any further?
I have a lot more to say, but I'll save it for later.
Okay. How about you, Munchie? Where are you at, brother? You're Californian, so
I'm
you're gay,
a Californian.
right?
One time, Bernie Sanders actually ate my poop. He actually came into my house and he actually ate my poop. So that changed my fucking life. Bro.
Were you that bird that landed on his podium that one time?
Yeah.
Was that you?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
If we're gonna be serious about Bernie, I actually shook that man's hand. It was an honorable moment
Really?
in my life.
Whoa.
Yeah,
When
was that?
He came
When
to my
was that?
college.
What?
Hey, stop trying to
That's
call it my
awesome.
social
Yeah, it was
movement,
great.
Monkey. Anyway, I think while their efforts are noble, they're debatably noble. No, they're fucking noble. They're great. However,
think
they're
they
also
got
bad. And they are mean, and I don't like that part of it.
So you think that they got their hearts in the right place,
Yes.
but they're maybe their tactics are
Their tactics
mistaken.
are that of a fucking boy. I hate boys.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that's a no-no. How about Tom? Tom, what do you think about all this?
I think my opinion is probably pretty close to what Mumkey was talking about. I'm really not a huge fan of the hypocrisy of the movement and the people in general. There seems to be a lot of instead of like raising people up, it's trying to push people at the top down,
Right.
And just like I think this way about one thing, but not about the other thing. And I'm sure I can probably get into specifics as the debate will continue. I'm not a huge fan of social justice warriors. It's interesting. Back in like 2012, 2013, I was more on board with it because I just kind of heard the service arguments and it seemed to make sense. But the more I digged into it, the more I realized that a lot of it was bullshit and based on false arguments. So now I'm definitely more on the red pill side of things. But I'm not like super invested in any of it. It's just like kind of what I hear and stuff. And
Yeah, okay.
It's dumb.
Jesse, where you sitting?
Well, the PCP has slowly morphed over the years, or the last year, into more and more of the Jesse is Right podcast. And I think this episode is going to be the most Jesse is Right episode in quite some time. Because everybody is wrong about social justice warriors. Everybody is wrong about what a social justice warrior is. Everybody has an idea in their head of what a social justice warrior is. And most of us picture, the militant left. But I say the term needs to be expanded in people's minds to encompass people on both sides of the extremist fucking spectrum. Because I think if you're the kind of person who is up in arms about social justice warriors, then you are yourself a social justice warrior. You're all the same. You're all polarized, you're all politicized, and you're all a fucking militant, tribalistic, primitive cancer on this earth that is holding us back as a species. And every single one of you, all of you people, all of you social justice warriors on the left, all of you social justice warriors on the right, you all need to be fucking terminated and executed immediately. Because you're destroying everything. You're choking the empathy out of the human race, and you all need to be fucking dealt with.
All right, Jess. No, time out. Jess, you just said if you're against social justice warriors, then you are one, and then you say they should all be exterminated. So does that make you a social justice warrior?
It makes me the one true social justice warrior.
There we
the
go.
only one in the world. Everyone else is doing it wrong. There's one social justice warrior, and it's me, because I'm the only one who really cares about justice and social progress for both sides, for all people. I'm the only one who's not sitting in my own little fucking corner saying, rah-rah for the home team, fuck the other guys. I'm the only intelligent person, the only one standing against this wave of retardation that is just drowning the entire world. I'm the only smart one, and more people need to listen to me and no one else. Fuck all of you. The end.
As I get,
That's the end of the podcast.
Older, I think more positively about the kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Benevolent despot. That seems more and more appealing to me. But okay, got it.
Note real quick, I should factor into my ideology that I also find the opposite. As Jesse said, just the same people on the right side, almost more infuriating to me specifically.
I mean, what is really the difference between this group of people who, everyone who disagrees with me is a Nazi, What's the difference between that and everyone who disagrees with me is a cuck? They're exactly the fucking
nothing.
same mentality.
I see what you're saying. I think that they sort of have come from the same place. Like it in recent history, it manifested more. It's the same sense of sort of, fighting back against the ideology that you feel is becoming too entrenched, and the other side is
fighting
promoting
fire with fire, because like the social justice movement hit the mainstream. It got a lot of attention, and you have like governments and companies kind of capitulating to that ideology, and you have people who are against it basically saying like, okay, if you want to be tribalist, we're going to be a tribe and fight you with tribalism, which is kind of like the natural reaction, but not the one that's very well thought out. So like they're both operating using the same tactics, but with different ideologies and different value systems. So they're both wrong in their execution, despite having different kind of motivations for doing so.
If you're talking about these kind of political activists, SJWs on both sides, then you're totally right. So Hippo, what do you think, dude?
I think the clue is
as the only non-American. I'm curious what you have to say.
I mean, it's the same over here because the internet's everywhere, but.
What?
The clue.
You guys have the internet?
Yeah, dude.
Whoa,
yes,
okay.
Fuck that joke, it's stupid. All right. I think that the clue is in the name. Social justice warrior. Warriors they fight in wars with weapons, and they're brutal, and they're clan-based, and they attack people. And social justice, I think, is a neat idea that warriors have taken and used them to bludgeon people to death with. It's just sort of, if you're fighting for a cause, like it's an okay cause. It shouldn't be ignored. It's like it's not the biggest problem in the world, social justice, but it shouldn't be ignored. It's like real, and it's good to have like more representation and stuff and equality and all that. People being good. And then we got all these warriors and a war, and it's like everything that's called a war. It's like everyone gets hurt and nobody's happy and everything's shit. So I think the warriors is the main part that sucks about it all. That's my stance.
Okay, I'll say mine before we get to Ben's, because I think his might be the most different. I agree with most of you guys. I don't care for a lot of the I mean, if we're talking about not people promoting these kind of ideas, but specifically the SJW, people, not a fan of what seems to be. I see this happen on both sides a lot. The kind of willing to ignore facts, like the goal is to promote the ideology as opposed to intellectually honestly pursue what appears to be correct and then operate based on that. That's where I really that's where I get my most annoyance when I see things like,
if it was
just
like
to bring up one big example,
monks, then it might be better.
That's true. That's true. Like one thing that infuriates me that gets brought up is the way that the gender pay gap gets brought up repeatedly, and it's not inaccurate to say that men overall earn more than women overall, but it's in the nuance of that point where either deception or like the actual truth lies, because the truth is that they say 77 cents on the dollar. It is that men overall, in total, all men in America make like 100 cents compared to the average woman's 77 cents. But that's during net earnings for a year. So it's just that women are in different jobs, and there may be a small pay gap, but that it is not the massive like almost 25% people talk about. And it's when people bring up that idea. Like Obama himself did it, and I'm sure people have heard this 1,000 times, but like Obama himself said, we have to pay women, the full amount that men get paid. It's just not fair.
It's me,
but, like,
President Barack Obama.
It's me.
This is how I talk.
It's in the way that he presented that point, which made it look like your average business gives a woman 77 cents and a man doing the same job $1, which is factually inaccurate. Yeah. And it is by saying things like that people are deceived, and you create this kind of outrage about things that aren't real. So like when you've got people who are outraged by things that aren't true, fighting people who are aware of the truth, like I don't really blame the people getting mad. They've just been fed false information and they're confronted with conflicting information. Of course there's going to be a conflict. Like what else could you expect in a situation like that? So it comes like the responsibility is on everyone to be truthful and honest and accurate.
But people aren't capable of pursuing that responsibility or holding to it. People are they're not looking for nuance. They're looking for an excuse to justify their own bitterness and everything that they do. It's all that people care about, because, like, you should be able to say, any intelligent person should be able to say, well, obviously the wage gap is not a real thing because I work with women and they don't make, more or less than me.
Right.
Everyone should be able to, but people can't. People have this like conflation they do where like if one thing supports their side, then everything must support their side, even if it doesn't. Well, the wage gap isn't true, and that's bullshit. So everyone who believes in that is dumb. Yeah, okay, it's not true and it's dumb. And also this stuff about how women might sometimes like get harassed in the workplace. That's also not true because the wage gap. Wait, what? No, you can have both. You can have a brain and have empathy, except you can't. Only I can.
Going back to what you were talking about.
That's why everyone hates me. The left hates me because I have a brain, and the right hates me because I have empathy.
Well, it just goes back to what you were saying earlier about how both sides are dumb. It's because seems to be no room in people's heads or this discussion in general on either side for nuance.
You know what the problem is? The problem is, I think, I see this all the time, and I see this with guys like Sargon. They just like block out things that look like they're correct, and they're just not focused. There's this problem of focus where people just do not emphasize the things that are true but don't help their argument. So you end up, it's not like you're lying, but this is the whole problem, that it's so hard to be like intellectually honest and accurate with your information. And there's this additional problem that I think people have such a hard time relating to things that don't, and I don't blame them at all. I'm like this too. Everyone's like this. Like, people have such a hard time processing sort of macro issues as opposed to specific issues in their life. Like if you have a job and like the women there aren't sexually harassed, it is your like experience in life that women never get sexually harassed ever. So you're like, what? Why is this a problem? It never happens. Look at my life. This has never happened to me. Like, I understand why that guy would think that way.
That's right. It's when you live in a bubble. When you live in a bubble and you've never seen like discrimination, or you've never seen what you consider to be discrimination, and you've never seen inequality. It's easy to tell yourself that it doesn't exist. That's why like people talk about white privilege. And the thing about white privilege is that white people can deny that it exists because they don't have to deal with the ramifications of not having it. What they say is that like if you don't only if you don't have white privilege do you need to acknowledge it. If you've got white privilege, the part of that privilege is the privilege to pretend that there is no white privilege.
And to take it one step further, I would say that like I'm talking kind of about that bubble as well, but about like a bubble that is unavoidable for anyone, and that is that like we observe the world through our individual perception as one human being. But like the most accurate way to like deal with this problem is to look at things like mass gathered statistics. It's like the only way to accurately assess like, okay, how much of a problem is like workplace sexual harassment? Like no one's individual account is going to help us solve that problem particularly much. You have to aggregate like all the information, and it's so easy to just look at that and be like, fuck it, I don't care. I don't care about that.
Even if you aggregate like the statistics, you then have but what is the actual like cost of that? Like how like no two harassments are like the same. You can't put like a dollar amount on them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another problem.
The experiences are the same. No two people. That's why the whole privilege, genre of arguments in general is fucking goofy and retarded.
Well,
because
I mean, like the whole thing is that you can have like I don't think there's like people who say there's no such thing as like racism or discrimination or like white privilege isn't a thing. I think that's stupid. Of course there is. There are people out there who are going to think that. My problem is when you have social justice warriors saying that all of this is systemic, which I don't think there's really any basis for saying there's systemic.
Can you define systemic for everybody? Because that seems to get fucked up a lot.
Well, people, I mean, as far as I can understand systemic, when social justice refers to something as systemic racism or systemic privilege and stuff like that, it's talking about a concept that is pervasive throughout all of society or is like ingrained in law somehow.
Does it necessarily imply that it's baked into law specifically, or can like?
Sometimes it sounds like that's what they're. I mean, again, like I'm not a social justice warrior.
I think the problem here is that it's a little bit too vague, and like we can
that's the whole thing.
Sort of have different meanings.
The
when
interesting
you're
thing
the
with
problem
the social
is the
justice
language.
argument is that it kind of like points at a boogeyman sometimes. It's like, okay, because like you have people saying like we need to end white privilege. It's like, okay, how?
Does anyone
Where
really
is
think?
it?
Does anyone who knows what white privilege is and understand what it actually means? Does anyone like that actually think we can just end it?
Well, that's the whole thing. It's like, why? That's what they want to do. They want this equality of outcome, and they want this
right.
like
we
perfect.
can't
Guys,
just end. Okay, go ahead.
Can't we just all?
Get
Can't
along.
we all? Can't we? No. Well, can't we all just Pokemon go to the polls? I mean,
Yes, Queen.
That's the solution to all of
I'm
our
with
problems.
her. It's her time. It's her time.
Here's my second Hillary song. What a wow, Hillary. You make my asshole flame, Hillary. I got AIDS. Thank you, Hillary. Ow.
Hillary Clinton, widespread AIDS support.
Hillary
Yeah,
Clinton,
she's-
everybody. She'll be here all week.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, Hillary. Thank you.
No, it's Hillary fan 306.
oh my god.
I was gonna say Hillary fan 666 because she's the devil.
yeah, obviously.
She's my queen. I worship the devil. But anyway, so we didn't get to Ben. So Ben, why don't you
Ben,
tell us your
Ben,
stance
you need
on
to
this?
get in the brawl.
Oh,
What's up?
I really believe in all the ideals that I think the SJW movement is wants. Everything that they want, I think would be great. You know, equality, representation, egalitarianism, everyone gets a fair shake. But okay, I don't believe that equality of outcome, to bring about equality of outcome, you would just have to take away everyone's freedom. You would just have to dictate exactly what everyone gets and make sure everyone gets the same
state enforced
thing.
commonism is what that amounts to. Ultimately.
Yeah, that's what it would
Enforced
be.
homosexuality.
So
It's coming, dude. It's coming.
I'm all about equality and SJW bullshit and all that crap that sucks. But I stopped short of being willing to call
Equality for
for
everyone but Pokemon.
Oh god, they're not people. They're not people.
yeah.
But I also don't believe in telling people what to do. I kind of think that if an employer is racist and hates Mexicans, if he starts his business and is well, I'm not going to hire any Mexicans. I mean, that sucks, but I kind of think that's his prerogative in a way.
Yeah, you would think that
agree.
really ideally the free market would just be well, fuck that guy. We're not going to,
Right.
he can deal with that. One of the things that one of the stories in in recent years that really got to me was for this issue, there was a baker who was asked to make a cake for a gay wedding, and they're religious. I hate all religious people, by the way, but they didn't want to because of their religion, and because they're Christ fags or whatever, and so they didn't want to. And then later on, they were forced to do it by they were sued or whatever, and they were forced to do it.
Well, that's some bullshit.
That's where I hit a fucking. That's where I get mad, because to say that you're not allowed to hurt people. Totally on board, makes sense to me. But to force people to do things that they don't want to do, that's a whole nother ballgame. To impel action at otherwise you'll go to jail or whatever. That's not good.
Saying if these people were straight, you would have done this. Therefore, you have to do it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
That's not. I don't like that.
I think a lot of the social justice, there's they don't understand that even if people hate people, groups of people, they all, even if race wasn't a thing, we would hate each other based on what town we came from, or what street you came from, various things we would divide ourselves up into and say, well, I don't like those people, they're from the next town over. If it wasn't race, it would be something else. So you can't ever end subjugation of a group.
It's impossible to do.
That's an interesting point, because I think that a lot of it comes from a base level ideological difference between a more, I guess conservative is the word to use, conservative versus SJW people, which is that SJW people in general, or the left, seems to have in their mind, and I kind of agree with this, that people will be able, humans as a species will be able to overcome our generic kind of prejudices, and we will be able to solve these kind of issues as time goes on. And so they're kind of working towards that, whereas conservative people more accept that that's a reality that they can't change, and are sort of comfortable trying to just deal with that as fair a way as possible.
I would like it if people didn't care so much about race, but I understand that there's always going to be groups dividing people up. Even if we finally end racism of skin color, it's going to be something else. And I don't think we're all ever going to be on the same page ever as a species.
I don't quite agree, but that's interesting.
Well, I mean, there's always.
I'm thinking about Starfleet, dog. I'm thinking about Starfleet.
There's too many people to get on the same page.
I disagree. Well, you know what? You know what's a great example of this? I think the ending of Watchmen is a really cool example of this sort of issue, because at the end of Watchmen, the world is about to be destroyed by these kind of country-based divisions between it's the Cold War, so Russia and America in the 80s, and they are 1 minute from midnight, which means a nuclear war is about to happen, and so Veidt or Ozymandias, the quote unquote villain, he stages this whole operation to basically trick humanity into not destroying itself by uniting it against an interdimensional alien race that he sets the situation up as invading Earth.
We don't have any of those.
Immediate. Well, that he made one up. He invented a false one, and that at least temporarily solved the problem of humanity about to destroy itself. And I sort of think that for one crazy example, if we had something space travel and relationships with other alien life forms, all of humanity would look at each other and be like, you know what? I guess we are pretty similar compared to these guys. They're a bunch of weirdos that we don't understand.
Guess.
But
I
we
think that
get along.
perspective-
Books for girls.
Never.
I think that perspective, if we had that, would definitely help. But I mean, the whole thing is that, for example, we still hate people.
Of course.
Even.
I hate Ben Saint, for example.
You just said you hate,
for one example.
Well, Nate, you just said you hate all religious people.
I do.
Even
I
if
want
that was
them
a
dead.
joke, there's still some disdain for religious.
They're holding us back, and oh my God, you totally got me. You're absolutely right. I'm a total hypocrite.
It's just we're always gonna have prejudices, and the thing is that these prejudices, they don't always come into play. I think it's less about.
I like to
our
think that
thoughts
this is
and more
a very
about our
frontal
actions.
brain. Sorry. Go ahead.
Well,
You can dislike somebody, but as long as you don't let that affect your day-to-day interactions,
Yeah.
that's what true tolerance
Right.
is. It's not
I
about
think-
loving
Right.
everything. It's just about letting bygones be bygones.
Yeah, the best case scenario for the future is that when somebody is racist or whatever, or dislikes a whole group of people, they would channel it into apathy. They would just be like, fuck that guy, I don't care, whatever.
It does,
And they
because
just
it tends to not affect you directly most of the time.
You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of my award-winning video on TBAP, Keg Reviews, Putting Your Hoof Down, the world-famous My Little Pony episode.
Speaking of people I hate, fuck bronies. They're the
I
worst.
was not. It's just Fluttershy is this cute little pony, but in that episode we learn that deep down she has a burning hatred for everyone in her life. But what makes her the fitting element of kindness is that she is able to suppress
she looks past
that rage.
her friends' horrible inadequacies.
Yes, that's right.
And pretends to like them anyway. And that's why
yes, that's
she's
right.
the best guy ever.
She is the best. Yeah.
I
right.
like that one. I'm gonna put that down in my book.
It's funny that you bring up My Little Pony because, and this sounds like a non sequitur, but I'm gonna make it make sense. Recently they released on YouTube the teaser for the My Little Pony movie.
Oh, okay.
And
is this the real one with the actual ponies now?
yeah, wait,
Oh,
what?
that's exciting.
What are you talking about?
Well, as opposed to the humans, as opposed to Equestria Girls.
Oh yeah, it's the real.
Yeah, that's
not
not
movie. But
Right.
the teaser on YouTube has mostly thumbs down. And at first I'm like, why the fuck does this teaser have so many thumbs down? And then I realized, it's because people still hate bronies. And this is putting bronies in the forefront again, I guess. And it's and it's how can people still be invested in not how can people still give a shit about bronies existing?
Yeah,
And it's the same thing with social justice. When I hear people complaining about social justice warriors now, I just roll my eyes. How the fuck can you still care? That you people have been circle jerking about this supposed problem with social justice warriors that's going to destroy society for fucking almost 10 years now, and it's never going to stop. It's just going to go in circles forever and ever. And both sides are going to continue destroying society in tandem because they're never going to stop fucking throwing shit at each other. And everyone in the middle is going to get rained on by all this fucking poo punch from the sky. Forever. How can you
the
still
major-
fucking care? That's the problem, is people caring too much about stupid bullshit that doesn't matter. People care too much about the president. They care too much about, whatever goofy social issue scandal of the day is going on. People posting on Facebook, arguing with their friends and family members about everything. Everyone's a fucking social justice warrior now about something. Everyone's got a fucking hill to die on about something and fucking argue with everyone about something. And it's just like, you know what the problem is? It's that people are fucking empty and bitter and sad and pathetic. They hate their lives, they hate themselves, and they can't admit it, and they've never fucking loved anyone. That's what the problem is. I think if you've ever just cared about another human being, then you would have some kind of fucking empathy or compassion inside you, and you would realize that all of this fucking tribalistic shit is fucking goofy, man. That's the problem. People are stupid. They have no lives. They don't love each other. No one has ever fucking loved anyone. No one loves themselves anymore. They're all cancer. Everything is cancer. Everything is bad and nothing is good. The world is irreparably broken, and I'm the only one who fucking sees it. No one else can see it.
You know what you remind me of, Jesse? You know that comic for XKCD about all the people on the bus having the same thought about how they're the only smart one in the world?
Yes, and I'm all the people on the bus, and nobody else is on my bus. Exactly.
That's right.
Hey, Jesse, you know who you remind me of? Have you ever seen a little show called BoJack Horseman, bro? LOL. You're like that one.
I think I understand why it's gotten like this. It's because the internet is based mostly in text, and through text you can't, ascertain someone's like real mood or the way they're saying something. And like we've seen it in our chat, like sometimes we'll be arguing and we won't actually be as mad as we seem like we are. And then on the internet, people, they see these things on Twitter, they argue over forums and Facebook and stuff, and they come away thinking that these other people are way angrier than they actually are. And that's sort of like, it's gone in circles and cycles and cycles and circles, and to the point where people themselves are, in general, being angrier in real life.
That's all communication is on the internet, is just people accusing each other of being mad over and over again in a circle. Yeah.
There's this great little flash game on Newgrounds called You Become What You Behold.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a bunch of little stick figures running around a room, and you have like a camera, and you can take pictures of things. And they show up on the TV screen in the middle of a room, and all the stick figures look at it and they react to it. And basically, what the point of the game is that they only care, like the stick figures only care if you photograph something like bad happening. So you'll photograph like people that like bump into each other and fight each other, like a square and a circle, because they have different shaped heads. Like a square and a circle will get mad at each other. You photograph that and you put it on the screen, and then more like squares and circles get mad at each other. And you just like take more and more pictures of like the people being mad at each other, because it keeps happening until everyone's mad at each other, and then it erupts.
Yeah. And it creates this like sort of racist thing going on between the squares and circles, which is just propagated by the media.
Everything was fine before. Everything was fine before, but because the racial tension was so like brought to the forefront of media, everyone perceived it to be a bigger deal than it was, and then it got worse as a result.
And the thing I really like about that is that once it starts getting bad and you try taking pictures of nice things happening, it doesn't help. It just always continues to get worse.
That is an absolutely brilliant.
It's true. I
representation
retweet wholesome memes every day, and the world still isn't fixed.
Real quick, if I could jump in. So,
please.
Jess, I don't want to misinterpret your argument before I go against it. So are you saying we shouldn't be talking about SJWs in the first place because they aren't causing any real harm?
No, I think that they are causing harm, but I think that, if you give a shit, fuck you.
So what harm would you say that they're causing?
I don't understand the question.
You literally just said they're causing harm, so what harm are they causing?
What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Maybe you can give an example.
Okay, sure. Job lynch mobs. That's an entirely SJW-run thing. People losing their jobs for having the wrong opinion, for saying the wrong word. These SJWs are dangerous because they'll go after these people online. They'll contact their employer. They'll contact their family, their friends. Do whatever they can to ruin their lives just because they have the wrong opinion politically, or they say a word out of context or something. So that's an example of how SJWs cause harm.
You're ascribing a philosophy to behavior, but the behavior is done by people with all manner of political and social stances. I mean, it's not just social justice warriors harassing people or setting out to fuck with people or ruin each other's lives. Everyone does that. I mean, are you going to tell me that? Are you going to tell me that like Polacks don't go around? Not Polacks, the country. I mean, like 4chan kids. Are you going to tell me that that people on like the right don't do the same thing?
For all of us that social justice warriors are both ends of the spectrum. So let's say I automatically agree with you.
I guess if we're saying social justice warriors means angry idiots who care too much about stupid shit and fight each other, then they just.
Well, then that's definitely that's the problem. But the way to fight that problem is not by caring more in response.
I think the way to solve it, not that I would know, but like I think is just to be a nicer person in real life and leave the internet alone a bit more.
Yeah, I think the problem in general is just to leave the internet, just to everyone.
Well, okay, the thing is we can't leave the internet because that is real life now. The internet is like the essential highway through which everything important is done now. You can't just, ignore it.
You can't ignore it, but you can.
And social media things have impact.
You can
it's
forget
like
about Facebook.
even if you. Okay, I mean, like, if everyone did this, then, okay, that would make a difference. But not everyone is going to be able to do this. And currently, if I write a story saying, PewDiePie is a Nazi, here are a bunch of screenshots that prove that, no one knows. I mean, immediately, they will, first of all, just see the headline, and that will already, like, 1 billion people see it if I'm someone important, like the fucking Wall Street Journal or whatever. That will already make people flip out. And it's just the reaction to that, without looking into the details, which were 100% false. In this case about PewDiePie, it was just a bunch of stuff that were, I mean, you could call it bad jokes, but at no point was he ever advocating for any of this stuff. It was all just, and in fact, much of the time he was making fun of Nazis.
That is true. I mean,
nonetheless, it's the response that is inevitable in the day and times that we live in right now, that people will flip out, and corporations are forced as money-making machines to react to it, no matter what the actual truth is. Just if people are mad, they have to act if they want to keep their profits up.
On the PewDiePie thing, I mean, I think we all agree that it's trumped-up charges and it's fucking ridiculous and false claims.
It's been proved
and it's retarded
many times.
It's just people lying for clicks, and they should all be hung.
Yep.
But it's not as though, the people on that side or whatever don't have a point at all, because the idea that like that a guy with PewDiePie with all this reach and this young audience, this impressionable audience, the idea that like, joking about Nazis and stuff and like joking about like right ideas is, seeping into young impressionable minds and making them who, might not be as in tune with satire or the memery behind it all, that they might, grow to honestly believe it. I mean, that's obviously true. That does happen. I mean, that's what memes are. Memes are just thought control. It's just the way that people spread their message in a humorous way. It is impressioning minds to feel a certain way. I mean, I don't think that that's the entertainer's responsibility at all to give a shit about that. But I mean, it is a valid point in some small way.
I kind of do think it is. I sort of agree, actually, on the. I do think that you have a responsibility as PewDiePie. Like, legally, you're not going to be held to any kind of standard, like, oh, you have to, make people smart or whatever. But there's definitely a responsibility if you're reaching millions of people every single day with the things you say to not be a monster, which he's not. But like, the worst thing he did, the objectively worst thing he did, was make a joke about like, wow, will these guys on Fiverr actually write a sign that says death to all Jews or like kill all Jews or whatever it was, even though it was that followed by subscribe to Keemstar.
I mean, I definitely think that like PewDiePie was like the wrong target to make that point with, because all he does is make silly jokes.
But any story about PewDiePie gets views, so that's
the
perfect
if
one
they
to do
were
it
saying
about.
that Sargon of Akkad is the problem, then maybe they'd have more of a case.
I don't really watch him, but I assume he's basically the Amazing Atheist, but different slightly. What does he talk about?
Sargon has transformed. I admit I watched Sargon, and he has transformed over
he just talks
years.
about social justice issues, just like free speech and shit like that. And
yeah, that's
he was
true.
big into Brexit because he's in England.
Yeah,
that was the thing we talked.
I think
about.
we tend to bash Sargon.
He's very evidence based. I mean, he definitely has his agenda in that he has his opinions and presents them.
We tend to bash Sargon a lot on this show, but it's mostly because I can't think of any other names that are in that genre.
Yeah, I have famously feuded on Twitter with Sargon of Akkad.
Yes. Earning swaths of Patreon bucks.
It's not that I think that Sargon is the worst of his kind. It's that I hate his whole kind, and he's just the one that comes to mind the easiest. He's just the first.
I-
he's just the first name I think of when I think of like right-leaning internet pundits.
I hear what you're saying. I do think I don't know if this is even appropriate to say now. It's just that I do think that he's gotten more concerned about providing factual reasoning behind what he's saying.
Yeah.
And he does a lot of reading and presents like, oh, well, I read this book, fucking The Republic by Plato or whatever, and it has this idea. I'm applying that to this thing I see happening. So I don't know why I'm defending the guy.
Yeah, and obviously if there was like a left-leaning pundit that I could equally think of to name and shit on him, then I would,
Anita's the one.
I hate that. I hate the fact that in order to shit on someone, you have to find someone on the opposite end of the spectrum to also shit on, or else everyone's going to accuse you of being on that side.
That's true. That's where we're at.
Well, it's the cultural binary. It's always been there, and it's bullshit.
You're right, Tom.
There's a guy I found recently called Quinton Reviews who he's made a couple drama videos and a few reviews and stuff, and he seems like really nuanced. Like he's like exactly in the middle in terms of being a totally reasonable human being, and I kind of really love that because he's actually he's got 100,000 subs, and he's like doing decently well, and he's not crazy on one side or the other. Like he did a review of Ghostbusters, and he actually talked about the new one.
Feminism.
But he actually like went into it like as a normal person, like a real human being, and he said, well, it's just an okay movie and all this and that, and then he explained what it was, because like every other video about Ghostbusters that I had seen was like, oh my god, I can't believe everyone likes it, or I can't believe anyone hates it. It's like, whatever.
I mean, I'm not trying
and his video is really nice.
I mean, I'm not trying to say that, like, it's impossible to examine these issues from an unbiased or at least from a nuanced perspective, or that, like, opinions are just bad and nobody should say anything about any social issue. I'm just so, like, wary of people who care too much. I don't trust them. When I feel like someone gives too much of a shit about these issues, they just come off like they're just like they must be like an empty, bitter weirdo to me.
I guess there's just people who are into politics.
I think that's what makes an SJW is someone that cares too much about it.
Yeah,
to an unhealthy level.
And
I think we should bring back You Mad Bro. That should really like.
No, that's the equivalent of Get Good. It's
I like
it's a
it
discussion ender.
because like they are mad and they'll be like, I'm not mad, and then they'll feel stupid for being mad, and then they'll try to be normal.
I suppose that's true.
Yeah, you can say I'm a gamer, goes into an old spaghetti factory and breaks all the dishes. What are you gonna do about liberals?
That Munchie really leveled up.
No!
There it is. That's
God.
Guys, Gamergate.
Gamergate was cool, right? Remember that?
Guys, let's talk about how fucking Gamergate.
Well, I don't know what there is to say. Gamergate was a bunch.
No, it was a joke, Nate. It was a joke. Don't actually start talking about
okay,
it.
abort. Okay, Devu. Here's something that's interesting.
Wait,
Devu,
have we done a PCP on Gamergate yet? We totally
have
should.
No.
At least we are firmly post Gamergate, so we can kind of assess it.
I'm going to start a
Gamergate PCP.
I'm going to
It'll
kick
be a
that
bonus
hornet's nest
episode.
all over again.
Give
We're
us
going to
some
start
money.
Gamergate.
The next bonus episode, Gamergate, starring only Munchie.
You know what? That could
playing everyone else.
We should do it as a bonus episode. That would be pretty funny.
It would be.
That's not a bad idea.
The only reason I don't want to do it is because I'd never looked into any of it, and I don't care so much.
That's the exact.
It was.
correct
I feel like
perspective.
not until months after it ended did I even begin to understand what Gamergate referred to.
I was very invested in it for like the first 3 days of it, and then it went on for like 7 more months, and I'm like, what is wrong with you people? What's going on? Why do you care?
Hey, I want to talk about
it's because that slut Zoe Quinn slept her way to the top of the video game journalism
you can
industry.
say I'm a gamer. Breaks my bones.
I know a lot of shit about here that I read, but anyway, so Devu mentioned something else in the chat. He just said like the Young Turks was all that he posted.
That's an example of like a left-leaning pundit on YouTube.
The interesting thing about the Young Turks is that I'm coming out.
They're
I'm
not
confessing-
young.
The Young
I'm confessing,
Turks.
everybody. I'm coming out of the closet. I watch the Young Turks all the fucking time. All the time. I watch the Young Turks.
Among the most politically invested among us. I mean, I think Monkey might also be, but
that's possibly true. Here's the thing about the Young Turks, though. Cenk Uygur, the main guy, I fucking love Cenk Uygur as a person. He is like the most fun and the most goofy and silly, and I love everything he says until he starts talking about his SJW
Yeah,
shit.
he seems
when
like
I wanna kill myself.
the left-leaning Alex Jones a little bit.
Oh, he
It's
would
very
get so
accurate.
mad. I was thinking that same thing the other day. He would flip his shit because he hates Alex
Did
Jones.
you ever see
so
that
much.
video when they fought? It was great.
Of course. It was nuts. It was nuts.
Have you ever watched Karen Strawn or whatever? Strawn, the fucking
Oh yeah,
girl writes what?
the short-haired lady.
She's like an anti-feminist talker, and she's very articulate and among the least retarded ones, I think. But she was on there, like that guy was like just yelling at her, like, "Shut up! Yes, you are oppressed, you fucking idiot! You stupid idiot! You're so oppressed! Shut up!"
That blows my mind. Just it's so weird to see like a fucking straight, almost white male telling a woman how oppressed she is when she's arguing against that. It's just.
He's
I mean, I get
almost
what's
white.
going on here.
He might as
but
well
it's
be Hitler
bizarre.
himself.
And I gotta say, one of the things, the biggest problem for me with Jank in general is that he has this fucking retarded feud with one of my favorite people on the internet right now, Sam Harris.
Yep.
He has been fucking, just the other day, I'm watching the stream on like Friday or something. He brings in a little joke just to shit on like Sam Harris out of nowhere because he just fucking hates the guy after he's the one who took all his arguments out of context and just doesn't understand
It's so
what an idiot
fucking
he's
weird
being.
that he
It's
still is
infuriating.
doubling down on that after
Like,
Sam
I
Harris
get it.
fucking destroyed him for like an hour.
I get it. He doesn't like it. Like, now they're just fighting. Now they just hate each other. But he got to that place with such a fucking retarded
Nate.
clusterfuck of his own circular. I'm sorry. I'm going on a rant.
No,
I don't mean to do
it
that.
sounds like
fuck
it
is
sounds
this
like you
video
care
game?
a lot about it.
I'm
and that
invested
means
in
you're
that.
a sociable justice warrior. And that means you need to Pokemon Go to the polls to cleanse yourself.
I need to vote for Hillary like 20 times to cleanse myself of this. That's my ablution.
Memes are cool. I like the jokes, but I don't like the political ones.
Hey, you know who doesn't like jokes? SJWs. Those are offensive. Hey, let's talk about cultural appropriation for a second.
No, fuck you, Nate. Let me talk about what I want to talk about. Every once in a while, I go on YouTube and I go to my subscriptions and I'm like, oh, there's another tab trending. Let me reconnect with my fellow humans.
Yeah,
what
no.
do they think is popular right now? It's all like anti-Donald Trump shit, and I always watch it.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh god,
I watch, like,
hate the
basically-
trending hashtags so fucking
It's
much.
the worst. It's the worst.
Yeah.
You guys
I-
still
I-
like
I-
that
Terrible.
shit?
I almost always agree. And I basically always agree. I watch Donald Trump stuff, and I want to know why is there not stuff like this for the right? Because I want to watch every political opinion.
I
and
think
then
we know
form
why.
afterwards.
I think we know why. They don't want you to see that shit. They are controlling it. There's no all they have to do is add like one tag about whatever to flag things as offensive, and it won't.
They've been
Because they
doing
control
that.
the system. They control it, right?
There's
there's no doubt in my mind.
I haven't been enjoying like Razor Fist's rants about Donald Trump people who hate him because Razor, what is it, the Rageaholic guy?
Yeah, Razor Fist is
Yeah,
great.
right,
I like
Razor Fist, like I like the fact that he's quick with his videos, so I don't have to sit through a 40-minute
true.
lecture or a podcast. to
That's
get
kind of the
cool
problem with
bit
a lot of the alternative media, quote unquote, is they tend to
Yeah.
be very long-winded because they're exhaustive in their points and stuff.
Yeah,
They go
Sargon
into,
of
like, all the
Akkad
nuance.
would. I think I've
Yeah.
watched one video of Sargon's, and it was just him, sentence by sentence reacting to someone's video, and it was like a 40-minute video, and I can't imagine unless I
he's
was already
evolved a bit,
invested in
but-
his
yeah,
content that anyone would like
I
click
think
and watch the
that's
whole
kind
thing.
of the problem with the alternative media and what's kind of happening. Like a great channel if you want something that's like really unbiased for that is the Rubin Report. I don't know if you guys ever even heard of that.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with him.
But
Yep.
he just interviews people from like all sides of.
You know what they
political
say:
divide.
never rub another man's Reuben.
He is gay.
That's true. He would rub his own Reuben.
I don't get it.
But I think the problem is that when you have someone like a Sargon of Akkad and guys like that, is that because it's become their job, they have to kind of keep placating to their audience. So I think
Yeah,
that's
kind
true.
of
That's a real thing.
inevitably
That's a real thing.
wears
man.
down
Even if they
their-
don't,
that
realize it,
fucking steams
that
me up.
happens.
That fucking because their commenters are all people that agree with them and are their fucking
Right,
echo
right.
chamber, and because they're surrounded by people that like love them and believe in what they're doing, they're like, yes, what I'm doing is good. I'm making a positive contribution to this world because all my followers and fans think so. And
I don't want to have to stress. I don't.
and,
I don't
and like
mean
that's
to,
now they're trapped. They're trapped in the cycle where the way that they make money and be popular is by hating on the other, and they're like they couldn't like they have no motivation to do anything else.
They have a monetary incentive not to change their mind.
Yeah,
and it doesn't have to be necessarily malicious.
I hate that so fucking much.
When, like, imagine a situation if you're any of these guys and you have two stories to talk about, one that is like a vindication of Hillary in some way, or one that's about her fucking up in another way. Like, what do you think your audience is going to want to hear more? That's all it comes down to.
That's like the big problem. And I mean, it's hard to put the blame squarely on them just because, like, again, like, that's how they make their money, and they can't control their audience. It's not like
they're
because, like,
slaves
when
to
your
the free
audience is
market.
whipped up into a frenzy, how is it like, you know, like, that's I agree with the fact that they should be unbiased, but I've always gotten upset when people have blamed them for, like, your audience is just circle jerking in the comments. How dare you? It's like, well, they don't control what the comments are, you know? It's not something that they do, but unfortunately, like, it's interesting. There's a guy who does this kind of videos. His name's Harmful Opinions, and
yep, I know him. That guy is a fucking maniac.
He's pretty. He went against the whole grain, and people have been giving him shit for it. But he's slowly starting to get people back to his side because, like, there was that app, that Candid app, that everyone was like, "This is like a free
that was
speech
his
app,"
thing.
And it wasn't. And he was the only one talking about it, but everyone else was under contract.
He seemed to be right in the end. He seemed right.
So I don't know. I know way too much about all these people. Jesus Christ.
Well, you know, it's drama. It's interesting. You can't help but admit that, you know, you click on it because, ooh, what's all this about?
I was subscribed to
want
most
to
of these
do all
guys
that, but
until like
you
3
do.
days ago, and I just unsubbed from everyone. So I'm just like, I have more important things to do than watch all this stuff. Even though, like, I'm kind of invested in, like, the whole, like, social kind of game going on right now because I just find it interesting.
Well, see, that gets back to kind of Jesse's point about, like, you know, should you really concern yourself with it too much? And, like, I don't quite agree. I think that
there is
I am concerned about, like, I am concerned about the future and the way things are going.
Well,
and
I mean, like this back and forth. Sorry to just interrupt, but I mean,
no, that's
my
okay.
whole thing is that, like, this cultural back and forth is just perpetuating itself because everyone's fighting fire with fire. You know, they're fighting the extremism with more extremism. Everyone, I mean, I guess your instinct is to think that the way to combat all these people being wrong is to be right, but it doesn't matter. You're not going to affect anything. All you're going to do is make more people go back and forth. The only way to solve the only real solution is to find the people in your life that you care about and just hang out with them and be nice and be normal and take yourself out of this fucking insane war zone of shit flinging. Just take yourself out of it.
Jesse, what if I haven't got any friends?
Then you should die.
I think you're right though, and I can easily see, like, all these things, these people, like, poning each other and coming out with videos. So, like, whoever you're already on the team of, you're just going to get more polarized. There is not a lot of course correction so much as deepening of, like, of adherence to one side or the other.
This whole, like, meta narrative could be solved if there was just compromise. If the both ends of the extremes could just sit down and just, like, give a little ground, get a little ground, and just be like, okay.
There's no incentive to do that.
Yeah,
there's no financial incentive. There's no cultural incentive. It's because like, that's the whole problem with having this all broadcast on social media is that shitting on the other person gets you more attention than trying to solve the problem. Like, does anybody on either side invested in solving the problem anymore?
Yeah. Well, I've noticed this. I mean, it's this kind of like this neutrality shaming again, to get back on that old fucking topic. It's because, you know, like centrist has been made into, like, a dirty word now. And it's you never see people just, like, coming down from, like, their extreme. If you see anyone change their mind at all, it's always, I was one extreme and now I'm the other. I see articles all the time of, like, I was on the alt-right and now I'm fixed because I'm on this side, or I was a social justice warrior and now I'm fixed because I'm on the other side. And it's like, no, you're not fixed. Like, this person realized flip-flopped to another cancer. You just traded one cancer for another.
Dude, it's that horseshoe theory, dude. It's that horseshoe theory. The
it
two
all
opposite
comes
sides of
back.
the spectrum resemble each other.
It all comes back to drowning in horseshoes, the greatest YouTube channel video thing of all time. It all comes back to that.
Horseshoe will never finally be
the most fucking prophetic, brilliant, artistic vision ever created by mankind.
There's this thing, like, if you're a centrist, then what you are to the left is too far right and a racist.
Whoa!
Or if you're a centrist to the left, then you're a fucking Nazi.
Yeah,
or whatever. You understand what I'm saying.
It's almost as if, like, the horseshoe is endless.
It's all finally coming together. The war is finally coming together. We finally are cracking the code. But yeah, it's like, because, I mean, if you're a centrist, then you're both sides' worst enemy. You're everything to everybody you're every villain they want to paint you as. Because I mean, I make a lot of opinion-based videos, not because I particularly care about my opinion, but because it's like a launching pad for comedy for me. But I can't help but have opinions. I can't help but say stuff. I fucking say things. But because I am more towards the center, I guess on most things, it's like, I'm hated by everyone in the world. That's why people hate me so much. I've been called a social justice warrior more times than I can count. I've been called a fucking whatever the opposite is.
You did by that being Puppycat comic. That was pretty.
I've been called an alt-right, like a Nazi, more times than I've been called everything by both sides. Yeah, I've been called the social justice warrior because I did a video complaining that there was a page bent in my Being Puppycat comic.
You monster!
Like half the comments were like, "Oh, you read that fucking SJW trash? Unsubscribe." Like, what the fuck? It's a comic about a girl with a cat. I just wanted to read it.
Because, all right, that's the thing. That's what happens to all conversations. They boil down to like the most like drama-y issue about that thing. Like, what do you think of when you think of like?
Nobody is talking about the real issues, which is that I was sold a comic with a fucking weird bent page in it. That when I unbent it was like longer than the other pages. How did it even get printed that way? I don't know. Or it's a mystery.
Or like. This is a thing that's very much on my mind these days. Like the new Ghost in the Shell movie, came out recently. Like all anyone ever fucking talked about was that Scarlett Johansson was cast as Motoko Kusanagi or as the Major, whatever. Like that drives me up the fucking wall because the intellectual content of Ghost in the Shell is the most interesting thing in the world, and all anyone's fucking talking about is the race of the main character. You're missing the entire fucking point of the thing. That makes me insane.
Really fucking sucks and makes me mad that they made them all white, but whatever. That's not important.
Well, I just think it's far more important to talk about transhumanism.
I would kind of find it hilarious.
Her name's fucking
amazing.
Kusanagi. Why the fuck is she white? Never mind.
Look, I'll tell you
Shut up! I was saying something.
Yeah, okay.
That fucking munchie training is paying off.
Yes. Breathe in, son.
All right. I was gonna say it was just a joke, but I was gonna say like it would be like legitimately hilarious, and I would love it if they went like too far with like the thing, and they made like the entire Avengers, but everyone's a black guy or everyone's a black woman, and it would just be like
that'll be
give Marvel a couple years. They're working on that in the comics.
Yeah, like they could make a Ghostbusters remake with all the women.
Oh God, that would never work.
That wouldn't make any sense. It's a man's story about a man's business and men finding their place in the world. Women have no place in the workforce. That movie would never work.
Yeah,
Monkey,
really.
I was just playing The Legend of Zelda. You may have heard of it, and when you said that, the controller dropped out of my hand. What do you think you're talking about, bud? Games.
I am the most blue-pilled. Ghostbusters, the remake, is my favorite movie.
Coming soon, The Avengers, a Spike Lee joint.
What do you think about the whole thing where, like, if you've got a team of dudes, it is now...
Whoa, that's a real problematic premise for a movie right there.
You're right.
That doesn't pass the Bechdel test even one little bit. Buddy.
I didn't even mean all men. I just meant people. I just used the word dudes.
Well, that's problematic
my whole
too.
Life. I know that's problematic.
Yeah.
So if you got a bunch of people, like in any group or whatever, it's now like it's like expected that the ratios will be like, okay, you can have like one white guy, and then like you want one of each race.
Yeah, tokenism.
Right, tokenism.
Yep,
but
worst.
the thing is, what I'm talking about, tokenism is one issue. But I'm just saying, like the fact of the matter is, like, white people are roughly 60% of America right now, so like you'd expect there to be roughly 60% representation in whatever. But see, that doesn't seem to be acceptable anymore. You know what I'm saying?
This gets to like the heart of the issue of like representation, which is like I think that it would be pretty swell if everyone was pretty more or less equally represented. But I also think that it would suck that it sucks when people are like, let's have our cast of characters. They're all white. We gotta make some black ones. We gotta make some gay ones.
Right.
Like we gotta do that. Like I hate that. And it's terrible.
I hate when those decisions are made for any reason that isn't artistic.
Everyone
I get it. I get it. That let me say. I just saying I hate it that the playing field is skewed. But I think that like the measures taken to deliberately unskew it are skeevy and almost worse.
It just seems like everyone thinks the way to empower one group is to disenfranchise or tear down another.
Could Tom repeat a statement? Because that's like my favorite thing. Can you say that again, Tom?
I forgot what I said.
Well, you just said like you hate that any decision is made
any
in,
decision
like,
and anything is made for any reason other than artistic reasons, and that's you know what it's almost
I
like
mean,
this makes me almost like approaching racist sometimes. And it sounds terrible, but let me explain. When they take
sound terrible
when they
to me.
take when they take something, you know, like when they recast a character and make he's a black guy now, or they just have like a black guy in like something or any sort of like non-white person now, because like social justice is everywhere and I know about it and I can't get out of my head. I always have to think, was this an artistic decision or are they playing the fucking SJW card?
That sucks because sometimes
and I can't appreciate their performance anymore. I just want to appreciate art. Fuck you for making me have to even think that
I know what
shit.
you're gonna say, and I want to say it. Let me say it. I'm gonna say the exact same thing you're gonna say.
Fine.
Thank you. Okay, there are some times where fucking I'm a corporate exec. I have money in my pockets. Let's go do it. Put the black people there. But most of the time, I would argue is that's what the art. That's what the guy he wants it. Like I like black people. I'll put a black guy here.
Yeah, sometimes it's good.
And then people
sometimes
are like,
it's good,
you
but the
can't do
times
that because that's what Hillary wants.
Sometimes it's good, but then like there's the other times when like it's clearly tokenism, and that like that makes it all bad.
Like
That makes it all
Wait,
seem bad.
let me bring up an example. Let me bring up an example real quick. And it's one Jesse told me about. So in the Dark Tower movie they're making the main character dude played by a black guy, but in the original, and so I guess they're making a change artistically, and that's not a big deal in of itself. But like there are issues where there is a black female character that has very specific race-based relations with the main character that are now fucked. What is it now? They're just two black
entire
guys.
arc of like the third book is Detta Walker and Odetta Holmes. She's two people. She's a split personality. But like the whole her arc of her character in the third book is her, you know, kind of getting over her prejudice and racism because she grew up in fucking like segregated 60s world against Roland, this old white ass Clint Eastwood looking motherfucker gunslinger. And like that's her arc. I mean, I don't even know if she's going to be in the movie, but it's
the black person has to get over their racism towards the white person.
Yeah, we can't have that.
That doesn't make sense. That does not make sense.
I have never heard anything
the
more
obvious
problematic
answers
in
are
my
just going to
life.
make the black girl a white girl, and then it'll be exactly as God.
Whoa, no! You cannot have a white woman or any white character ever upset with the race of another
and you
person.
know
That's
what?
not allowed. That's not allowed.
What I hate about the the race baiting in like Hollywood casting, because I see it a lot, and it's not just that they do it, but like the dishonesty and the like outright lies from everyone involved. Like you'll have like when they cast Hermione as a black chick in the
I was just
going
gonna
to
bring that up.
Yeah,
I was just gonna bring that up.
Like J.K. Rowling being like, "Well, I never said she wasn't black."
Yeah.
Like, yes, you fucking did. You literally said in the book. In her,
Did she
I think
really?
she tweeted like, you know, it never says she's not black. Yeah. But you know, because she's all it says is like she's got frizzy hair. Shut up, J.K. Rowling. Like, there's other characters in the book like Blaze Zambini and that guy who fucking the Gryffindor who reads the fucking announcements at the Quidditch. That's explicitly call them black. If Hermione was black, you would have said black because you said that about other characters. Don't fucking lie to me.
Yeah,
it's
you're right.
Yeah, and I kind of
She did the same thing with Dumbledore. She did the same fucking thing with Dumbledore, pretending that he was gay all along. No, he fucking wasn't. You don't even know what being gay means, J.K. Rowling, because Dumbledore is Dumbledore is clearly asexual, and he had a crush on a guy one time like 70 years ago, and you're like, oh yeah. He's gay. He's always been gay. J.K. Rowling,
that's just so they can check the gay character box. That's what they want to do. That's what they want.
You fucking cuck. Don't pretend like this was your grand plan. I love your work, but I hate you so much.
Hey guys, I'm
can I just bring up one more example?
Glad none of this discussion is applying to anything I've
Hippo,
ever
go on.
Well, that kind of
Peachy
reminds
Munchy,
me of
Peachy.
Peachy. Fuck, kill me.
Homestuck.
I feel so Caucasian.
All right, shut up, Ben.
Sorry,
There's
Homestuck's important.
Homestuck, right? Like fan art, I've seen like
Oh,
every
boy, here
single
we go.
character in every single color. And at first I was like, that's. I thought, I didn't. I guess that. It's like I wasn't sure about it, and they hadn't been explicit because like all the characters are like literally like FFFFFF white, because that's just the style of the thing. But then
have to pay respects.
But then there are the trolls, which are like gray, so they have a skin color.
Right.
And then are all the other characters white? And some people say, well, it's up to interpretation, and then it's like, I guess.
Hussey says, like, yeah, I never said they're white. Like, it's open to interpretation. And the response, like, the shitty response to that is like, oh, yeah, but they're white-coded. And then that gets into, like, okay, well, what is white coding? Like, what is a white person supposed to be? What behaviors signal a white person to you? And, like...
Really, I don't have a problem with it. It's just that I remember that it sort of rubbed me the wrong way initially, but now I'm totally cool with it. Like, if I see, like, somebody does a fan art of Sans or something, and he's like, he's a human Sans, and he's like, he's got all these weird Tumblr things.
Are you talking about Human Tail?
Yes, that's a similar sort of thing where people, Tumblr fans, they love attributing characters from things, making them human, and then giving them a bunch of shit, and it's like,
you know what fucking grinds my gears
anymore.
About Human Tail, what grinds my fucking gears is how they do this thing where they're like assigning sexualities to each character, where like that's not evident in their Alphys and Dean are pretty clearly gay or bi or something. But I think we don't know that Frisk is a weird pansexual demi boy. Demi boy. It's just not evident. Yeah.
My point is that it used to rub me the wrong way, but I realize they're just having fun, so I don't really care. So I just let them have their fun.
I mean, to that extent, yeah.
Real quick, I'm rereading it as we speak, and the only character so far that has been canonically white has been Bro.
Yeah.
I mean, he has been stated that he's been white.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That does happen. So,
and
Dave,
from that, we know that his genes were given to both, Roxy and...
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Homestuck, guys. Welcome to the Homestuck PCP.
So we know that Dave and Rose are both at least half white. This is what we know.
Right. Fuck is Homestuck.
No one knows, dude. And can I just bring up...
Good.
Let me bring up just one more example that always bothered me, and then we can move on. It was just in The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3. I'm a Polak. My people are from that land. Like it's a story made by Polish people about Polish lore, and there aren't. I mean, in like the 16th century or whatever the fuck, there were not a lot of non-Polish people, non-white people, and like when people see that game, like so you imagine you're playing this game, you play through it, and all you see are white people, and imagine getting mad that this game did not have people who don't belong here.
This leads in directly to what I wanted to say. You know what fucking pisses me off and what I hate about people, SJW or otherwise? I fucking hate how for some reason some people have to be like, I can't relate to anything unless they look like me. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Those people need to be beaten up badly.
I don't know if I agree. I mean, yeah, I think you probably... I mean, I think you should be able to identify... No, let me finish.
Oh
I think you should be able to identify with a protagonist of any race. But I think... if you lived in a world where, like, all the movies you watched, like, everyone was Asian and you were a white guy, like, even if there were other white guys around, I think you would feel, well, that's different. I think you would feel weird. I really think it would affect how you saw yourself.
You know what? Okay, here's the thing. I don't know. People might get mad at me.
Well, it's
about
related.
This.
It's that I think. Yeah, I think you should be able to relate to a protagonist of any race in theory, but it's like when it's systemic and when there's broad trends, like broad trends affect how people feel and think.
Okay, well,
so you're saying it's okay for them to get mad at something that's historically accurate?
What? No,
well, I'm talking like The Witcher 3, like The Witcher,
because it's like the Bechdel test, right? Like the fact that a movie does not pass the Bechdel test does not in and of itself make it a bad movie. It's the fact that like so few movies pass the Bechdel test that means that none of these individual movies are necessarily damned and like a bad movie because they don't pass it. But it's just the fact that this widespread trend is like speaks to like a systemic problem.
Well, all right, but
same with the overwhelming whiteness of like protagonists in movies. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, but like, all right, with Witcher 3 specifically, would you say that the solution to that anger is to let them be angry and not change it, or to change the game and add different races in, even though they wouldn't make sense?
No, you should let them be angry because in that case it makes sense that everyone would be white.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Well, here's the thing. I don't know if I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this, but like I sort of agree with Ben in at least a sense, because I mean just one way I think about this is I watch movies about people who are from different cultures than me, and like I definitely can relate to it less than I do to like a middle American story or whatever. And as well as like I've moved to a mostly black neighborhood now, and like it's just like a sort of a different culture around. Like I grew up around like 99% white people. Yeah,
Yep.
I'm a little white boy. And like the neighborhood I live in now is just different, and it's not that the people are necessarily different. It's just like when I'm in this neighborhood now, and if I see a black person, I know that they're like, or I don't know, but like it's an indicator because I'm a visual oriented creature as a human being. It makes me think like, okay, this person is from like a different culture than me because this place I live now is different. They're not the same sort of thing that I've known my whole life. So like I'm assuming because I don't actually know this person, but it's just sort of a hint that there's a difference here. And yeah that's probably not. I hope I don't sound horrible here, but it's just a fact. Like
I agree. I'm like I don't really feel like I'm racist at all. But like with it when I feel a cultural it's not about how people look. It's about when I feel a cultural difference. Like if they're speaking in a way that is like not how I'm used to speaking, then I'm like, well, that's different. I don't know how to relate to that as well. I
don't think there's anything. Is there anything wrong with that though?
There really isn't.
I don't think so.
Isn't.
Like I know
I think that just means you have something to learn
I think it's good. It's good to be multicultural. It's good to be multicultural, but like if you're not, like I don't think you're a bad person.
Yeah, but Ben, what's the point you're trying to make? Are you saying we like? I agree.
I was just agreeing with Nate that I feel that same way about cultures.
I agree with Tom in that the artist is always the one who should decide what the races are. We shouldn't like. Do you want us to force more races?
He already said no. He already said no.
I said no to that. Yeah.
Well, then what's the point?
I feel like what are we even talking about?
Wait a minute. So
we're talking about having more representation in media, and I think the point right now is that it would be great. if there's but like my point is that I think that no change should be made that isn't done for artistic purpose, and if for whatever reason all these creators are just like, this is how we think about it, I don't think it should be arbitrarily changed because, well, we need more black people. I'm not disagreeing with saying that like more like diverse cast would necessarily be a bad thing. All I'm saying is I want it to be done for natural, organic reasons and not to check boxes off.
Here's what I think. This is my opinion on this issue. And this applies.
Hippo's been trying to say something, Ben.
What?
Let Hippo say his thing. He's been trying to
sorry.
I mean, it's like too late now, almost. But I wanted to bring up the fact again, like you said at the beginning, I'm the only English guy in this American-centric podcast, and the whole thing of like things being unrelatable. The vast majority of media that I've ever consumed has been from America and with American things like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Like I don't know what the fuck that is. Taco Bell. We don't have that.
You don't have Taco Bell? God,
you poor bastard.
I'm never moving
that's
there.
Munchie's dad. Munchie's dad is Taco Bell.
And it's like all these American things that have been in like every cartoon I've ever watched. Like Rugrats, I don't understand most of the things in that. I mean, they're babies and they're weird, but like there's American things in there. There's American references in all things that I've seen. To the point where I don't find it that I can't relate so much if something is a different culture, because it's just one of many cultures that I can relate to in that I know that they're different. I don't really know what like not relating to me. I don't know what that does. I don't know whether, like, if I watch an anime and it's got Japanese buildings and stuff, like, what does that mean if I can't relate to that thing? I know if I see enough anime, I will be able to relate to it. If I see enough American things, I will be able to relate to it, through that.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what it means to not relate to something. What does it even do?
Yeah, Ben, could you maybe speak to like the damage you see being done by there being a lack of representation? Like, is it just the level of comfort or something?
No, it's not the level of comfort. I think that when there's not diverse representation, then it just contributes to an othering effect, wherein the inside group and the outside group see themselves as distinct and opposed to one another.
So
I think that when media, if media was more inclusive, then it would mean it would lessen that like in out group psychology.
So how do we do this,
societally.
Ben? Do you want like a government forced diversity in your TV show or what?
Here's
like,
here's the best
always
thing.
take it to 11.
Here's the best solution I come up with. No, I wouldn't. I don't think anyone should be compelled to do anything or make art any way that they don't want to. I think that the only viable solution to this at all, and it's not great, but it's the best I can come up with, is I just think that people should try to view novelty like positively, and in a way that like, you know, like if you've got two, I don't know, movies you want to watch, and one is like an American film and one is like a Pakistani film, and you've never seen a Pakistani film before, or a film with like a Pakistani director, maybe you could be like, oh well, that's neat. You know, I think we should look. I wish we just looked positively on that. And I think if societally we looked positively on things that come from like diverse cultures and on novelty in that way, then
white movies win Oscars. Like Moonlight, that was an all-white movie, just won the best picture.
That's like one, dude. That's like one.
Are you fucking kidding me? Look through the Oscar list of the last 50 fucking years, dude.
I think that's
so. Wait, are you making an
due
argument
to the fact that
that
the Oscars are bullshit and nobody?
Are
should
you
care
making
about
an
them?
argument that they're just? I'm just wondering that there is proportional representation in the Oscars.
I'm not saying.
Not you. I'm asking Mumkey.
Okay.
Well,
like,
Ben
are you
seems to be
saying that it is balanced?
society on a whole doesn't like things that are different, and I just proved him wrong with the Oscars, I guess.
Well, you didn't actually present anything.
What do you mean?
You're just saying
what do you
that.
mean? What is the trend in the Oscars that you're talking about?
I mean, the idea is that if society doesn't like things that are different, then the very white Oscar voting people would only vote for the white movies. So clearly they do have some...
So hang on. Are you saying that because Moonlight won, that alone proves that there is no problem?
No, it's an example that shows that Ben isn't entirely right in what he said.
I don't think that's true because a very small number of people actually decide who win, and those are big libcucks. So first of all, they don't represent America in general, and that doesn't solve any kind of problem.
It's not just about whiteness. It's not just about blackness. I don't know what movies won the Oscars for the last 50 years, but I'm betting that there's like some noticeable trends in what kinds of movies win Oscars.
I think,
and I just
people are
they're all self-important and awful.
People like things that are familiar. Like in general, like on a human level, I don't think you can ever change the entire.
And that's not a
human
crime.
race.
Yeah.
Well, I think it should be.
They're gonna like. I mean,
Well,
you can have ideals that are
that's a
like
whole
we
other
should
thing.
all be introduced, mixing and trying out new things. And but the fact of the matter is, people generally don't care to do that, and it's hard to try and convince them. And I don't even know what the problem is anymore.
Okay, Ben, I have a question for you. Since you're kind of a social justice guy, I want to kind of run this by you. Okay? Because maybe you'll be on board with me on this and thinking this is stupid.
Okay.
Because you're saying right now people should definitely like try and like experience more culture and like go look at other stuff outside of their kind of like sphere and bubble that they're familiar with.
Yeah. It would be nice.
Why is it that the same people who talk about that also say that cultural appropriation is the worst thing ever and you should stay inside your bubble and never touch anything?
Cultural appropriation is the best thing ever.
Yeah.
Because like it doesn't make any sense that like you could, to get back to social justice warriors in general, I guess, is that again like they want all this more like representation of people to understand things outside their culture, but then like as soon as you touch anything else, they're just like, that's mine, you can't have it. And it's just like, well, you're just like raising the barriers and bitching that there are barriers. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I hate that. I think we should all culturally appropriate all the time. It would be. Okay. I wish I culturally appropriated more. Sometimes I feel bad. Sometimes I feel bad, like just how fucking white me and my upbringing and my culture is. But then I think about branching out, and I'm like, that sounds hard, and not doing that is easy.
I would really like more toast in my movies. You want the government to force people to eat toast?
No, I just think that societally we should agree to give toast more money in the box office.
Hey, I had an Uncle Phil, right? And he was white because my family's white. I'm a white boy.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately.
Yeah, but I had an Uncle Phil, and that means that I could technically be a white Will Smith in The Fresh Prince of White Bel-Air. Would it be cool?
Imagine a
turning
reboot
a black
of Fresh
thing
Prince of
into
Bel-Air.
Yeah. Would it be like cool? Because like,
well, it would not
that
be allowed.
What do you mean it wouldn't be allowed?
My whole thing is like, I don't think that's
people would
cool
get
or
behind
uncool. It should just be a thing that happens. It should be completely neutral. There should be no.
Well,
it's just like whatever.
The thing about that is that the point of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air is that they're an upscale black family living in like a white neighborhood. Okay, well, for the audience, then, but if you switched it, then we would. It's like a poor white family moves to a rich black neighborhood. That's not a thing? Well, I don't know. Maybe nowadays it's a little different, and maybe it could happen.
I was just being a stupid joke, sir.
Well, I'm taking it way too seriously. You're welcome.
I do find Carlton a fascinating character, though, because God, one of the best scenes is when him and Will got pulled over one day when they were just driving down the road. And, Carlton's been sheltered his whole life, so he doesn't know about this shit. And, like, they were pulled over for driving, like, too slow on the side of the highway and, like, got arrested and some real shit went down. And then afterward, like, Carlton's just like, Will, like, of course the police pulled us over. Like, we were acting suspicious. And Will's like, dude, if we were white, never would have fucking happened. And Carlton just does not understand. Like, it's not in his worldview that the police discriminate against any particular race. And that is a very interesting phenomenon, because to Will, this is just life. This is every single day. He just that's just how he thinks about shit. Cops are out to get him, and Carlton does not process. Like, his dad's a judge, so probably has a more favorable view of the law system in general.
Because Carlton's got fucking privilege, man. He's got privilege, and he's been sheltered, and his privilege allows him to ignore and deny that privilege exists.
I'm just saying, I would sure like it if everyone was in a position with Carlton, with like, this doesn't happen.
It would be great if we all could ignore fucking societal bullshit.
I wish we were all like Carlton. I want everyone in the world should be like Carlton. We'd have the best dance moves.
Saw Michael Jackson.
That's true.
That one commercial.
Did Michael Jackson get more privilege when he turned white? Did that happen?
Michael Jackson got more privilege when he turned rich.
Got way less.
I mean, hey, that's how it happens.
First, where were you when Michael Jackson died? Privilege. I was doing 9/11.
That's a good one.
I actually do remember where it was, but I don't remember when I was.
If anything disproves the concept of white privilege, it's that. I mean, Michael Jackson, he was black and he was successful. He turns white, next thing you know, he's framed for pedophilia, he's being assassinated by Sony. All this horrible stuff is happening. His legacy is tarnished forever, all because he was white.
Michael Jackson.
The real problem was
he had the audacity to turn white.
You know what the real problem with that guy was? He fucked with Paul McCartney. He bought a lot of the Beatles music that Paul wanted. He was not cool. He sent in the Beatles hit squad.
Wait, he will never the Beatles music? Like, he just purchased the albums?
Like, he bought the rights to a lot of, like, the album records music.
How?
And was like, I don't know, but I read about it the other day. And I know that him and Paul McCartney were not such good friends after that.
But they made they made a song together.
That was beforehand.
Say, what the fuck? Yeah, you're a black man.
I'm black.
Da-boo-dee, da-boo-da.
I'm black. If I was white, I'd have privilege. If I was white, I'd have privilege. We should make a remix.
So listen up. Here's a story about a little bitch who fucks with a bitch.
Hey Nate, do we have any Twitter questions this week?
No.
Are we petering out people?
I have a closing statement. Mm-hmm. The closing statement of this is, just know that whatever side you fall on, there is no, in the words of my personal savior, Jan Rankowski, a.k.a. actor of Parkour Dude 91, there are no anime villains controlling everything. And everything is every movement is not the result of one person maniacally cackling. There's just people reacting to what they see in the world, maybe immaturely or maybe maturely, but it is all people just like you making decisions to act the way they do.
Yeah.
I just want to say, as a final statement on the matter of SJWs, that I agree with everyone, and everyone is bad. Also, those are two things, not necessarily conflicting. And I think in general people should take themselves out of it and not give a shit. But I also think that maybe, and this is something that I almost wish that I was more capable of doing, is just go with it, man. If all your friends are libtard cucks, be a libtard cuck. If all your friends are fucking alt-right, be an alt-right. Doesn't matter. None of this really, truly matters. Just be what your friends are. That's all that matters.
And if
that's what got us all into this situation to begin with.
Yeah.
If I could give a final statement. Mm-hmm. Tonight we talked a lot about why we shouldn't talk about SJWs. We had a lot of derailing So look forward tomorrow to me and Tom having a real podcast about SJWs.
What
I
look
want
forward
to
to
say,
that.
as a final nail in this coffin here, Martin
So
Luther
many
King
nails.
Day.
Well, wait a minute. What made this not necessarily a real conversation on the topic of SJWs?
It
I
was
think we
just-
covered a lot of ground.
I
think
did
I
my
said a lot
level
of smart
best,
things.
Mumkey. I did the best that I could with what I had at the time.
I think it was very early derailed into why we shouldn't talk about SJWs and how now suddenly everybody's an SJW. I was hoping to get a little bit of nitpicking into what it actually is, but me and Tom can do it later. There's
It's
isn't
the whole
time.
time talking about what it
An SJW is like a work of pornography. You can't define it, but you know it when you see it.
I agree. Okay, let's go to the questions. Okay, what do we got here? Okay, here's one. Just as filler until I find a good one.
Mumkey's a little sad that this didn't turn out to be the echo chamber he particularly wanted.
I just thought we'd have multiple perspectives represented, and
I think we certainly
problem
had
is
multiple
the problem is
perspectives.
we're too intellectually honest, and we understand each other too well
don't
that we
know what
don't
you
devolve
mean,
into a
Monkey.
bunch of shouting and bullshit.
Like, what were you wanting
this
us
this
to talk about?
podcast has already been derailed. We'll do it another time.
The
Well-
rage, the
Well,
quietly
it's still going
simmering
on.
rage of Mumkey.
I don't have
don't-
time for a 3-hour podcast. I have a date tonight.
Well,
A date.
Congratulations.
with destiny.
Okay.
Do you have a time for a 2-hour podcast? It's only been going for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, I'll save it for later. It's fine.
all right. There we
Okay,
go.
let's go to the fucking questions already. Jesus Christ. Okay, here's one. Edwin at Edwin Jart asks, hey, TB Crastinators, you become God for exactly 45 seconds. What do you do?
Make racism legal.
Yes. Who else has a good idea? Come on.
Sexism
Pokemon
legal.
Real.
I remake Evan Almighty and make it good this time. That's yeah.
Why are you guys fucking around with laws? You became God, not like the president.
That's not a law.
Black people legal.
I would buy up all the land in Missouri and then nuke it.
Oh, you know what I do? Oh, that's a good idea. Why Missouri? What did they do?
I don't know. I was just thinking of a state. I don't know what states are.
I'd go for Rhode Island.
Liquid?
Kill the
I would
fewest people.
probably fucking share the secrets of faster than light travel with humanity or something.
I was
That's
just
probably
gonna say what I would do is I would have an alien race like the Vulcans. I would instruct them to visit Earth because that's what started Starfleet in the original. Right as humans did their first warp drive test, the Vulcans happened to see them, and then they became best friends, and everything started from there.
Wait.
I think
Ben,
I'd give myself abs.
That's a good one.
What Hippo? What were you
Yeah.
saying?
Oh, I was gonna say, if you, as God, your plan was to, tell people about the light speed travel.
Yeah.
What if, as God, you realize that it's completely impossible? Do you tell them?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If I'm
so that tell them that their dreams are crushed.
I would.
and they
I
can't do
would
it.
prove it to them that it's impossible, so that they would stop working on it. Yeah. I would do that. It'd be
Does that
great.
include things like wormholes, though? Because wormholes aren't really travel; they're just kind of jumps between pockets.
Whatever steps were necessary
okay.
to make it happen, I would share them if there were some, and if there weren't, I would let them all know.
Excellent.
Good. Actually, I retract all my statements. I would, as God, I would go around the world and make geography. I would get rid of all the weird geography related things, like Portugal.
Okay.
That should be all Spain. It would look better on a map. And basically, I'd get rid of all the small countries because they look bad on maps,
That's true.
and we'd just simulate them into bigger
Fuck
countries.
Luxembourg.
Yeah, exactly. What the fuck?
Luxembourg sounds like some fucking like a Power Rangers knockoff, like the Beetleborgs.
The big bad Luxembourg.
racism real.
I thought it was pronounced Luxembourg.
Fucking Luxembourg, get out of here!
The origin
the cool
of all
new
racism.
character, Luxembourg. Here he comes.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
I thought it was pronounced Luxembourg.
Yeah, but
I
this
think
is
both
this is an
are
original.
Bored, Nate. Give me with another.
Yes. Okay, here you go. Let me slang this one for you. Fuck, where'd it go? Oh, here it is. At Swag Dude. Yeah, at Swag Dude
it's
asks.
Swag Dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know him.
What's your favorite soda? And I just want to quote Anthony Fantano and say, soda is piss, water is bliss. Don't drink it. It's garbage. Poisons your body. I hate soda.
True, it poisons your body, but it tastes very good sometimes.
If Monster counts as soda, then Monster. But only the 0 calorie.
It doesn't. It's an energy drink.
Okay, then Coke Zero.
It's clearly late.
Well, hey, that's a great topic for this podcast because we were talking about SJWs. You know what would solve all the social ails of the world right now is a nice, cool bottle of Pepsi. You know,
Topical.
Give me that Pepsi. I'm CEO of Pepsi. I'm a baby. I have millions of dollars and I love Pepsi. Yeah.
That's what the riot control police say when you bring them a Pepsi, and they're beating on the blacks and they're beating on everyone.
I hate blacks. I'm
gonna kill people until I get my Pepsi. Someone give me a Pepsi and cut this hatred out of me. And wash my hatred away in an ocean of Pepsi inside my body.
I realized we made a terrible mistake. What we should have done at the beginning of this podcast was so that we know how important everyone's points are. Is compare ourselves on the what is the progressive
on
stack?
The Pepsi scale.
How privileged we are.
Yeah,
we should have done
that's
that.
what I wanted. I wanted us to be ranked. But it'll never fucking happen.
That's another bonus episode.
Yeah!
$5, motherfuckers!
I'm going to say that I think the number one would have to go to Munchie because he's the most non-white. So that puts him up pretty high.
Yeah,
but he's also the least gay, so that's pretty safe.
I would say...
You know, Ben, I think I might be the least autistic.
Well, somebody's gotta.
Just maybe.
Okay, what do we got here?
Wait. No. I like to say my favorite sodas because I'm a soda enthusiast. I like to try.
Okay.
I'm very cultured. I like to try a bunch of different sodas. I always compare taste. I'm very into suicides, like as in like mixing drinks, not as in killing yourself, which I'm staunchly against.
What the fuck is this? I don't. What is that? What you call it when you mix sodas?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm way into that. That sounds cool.
Yeah,
it's when you mix all of them, like at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Like every single one.
I say that the best soda in the world is as follows. All right, 60% Dr. Pepper, 30% fucking root beer, and the rest Sprite.
It's pretty good.
Did you know that if you mix Coke and Sprite, you get ginger ale?
How would I have any way to test that, Jerry? I'm gay. I'm fucking gay. Kill me. I'm gay. I want to die.
I know they said it on Seinfeld. That's why I know it. What of it? What of it?
Yeah.
I am Seinfeld,
I'm a gamer,
and there's George too. I'm Seinfeld. I'm a Jew, and there's George. Okay, let's go.
Wow, Marge, look at that human. He's not a human. Homer Simpson's Undertale.
Nice.
Did you guys wait? Are you guys talking about Simpsons Meet Undertale?
Yep, I am.
Yep. Classic.
Is that a real thing? Is that real?
It's the worst. It's the worst.
Oh my god!
It's so bad.
Is it a comic?
Dumb.
Is it a video?
I'm ashamed that we've mentioned it on the hallowed halls of the PCP. It's wrong.
Just tell me what meat. Is it a video? Is that what it is?
It's just like a little 1 minute shitty animation.
Okay, that's right.
It's fucking amazing.
I'm subscribing. So Monkey Away asks, is watching shit in a theater ever worth it? That's an interesting question. I would have to say yes, because I enjoyed my time in a theater just the other day.
If you're with friends.
I was alone.
Well,
I'm always alone.
I guess
That's
it could be okay. I wouldn't do it alone, but I guess it could be fun.
I mean, you should definitely go at least once to get the experience of a huge screen with a loud speaker in a big old dark room. That's
Dude,
cool
if you wait a couple weeks till there's no one else in the theater, it's the best possible way to watch a movie.
That is totally
I agree.
True. I think the percentage of worth it your theater experiences is directly proportional to how good or shitty your TV setup at home is.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I like the atmosphere of a theater. I like movie dogs.
I like watching people with people around. I like watching. I like having it's a full ritual.
They've ruined like 80% of the movies.
Here's what I would say.
Yeah, I'm kind of a solitary watcher myself.
The optimal like movie going experience, like unless it's like something that you want to pay attention to and like analyze, and it's like, oh, it's a real heady fucking like Scooby Doo or something, like you want to watch that alone and get the bullshit. Yeah. But if it's just some bullshit like Ghost in the Shell, you can go with your friends. and if we lived in a perfect world, then I think the perfect place would be like a movie theater, but only you and your friends are allowed. So you can like scream and like make fun of the movie for being shit, but you still get all like the comfort and like the movie dogs and like the blackness.
I see what you're saying. I don't ever do anything with my friends because I hate being
can
around
also
friends.
sort of like revitalize an old favorite. You know, if you have one of those movie theaters that play old movies in your town, you know, like you can go in there, you could watch like The Room, or you could watch like
that's the one.
Me and Nate went with some people to a screening of The Room one time, and it was fucking great.
Best.
That was fucking downtown Boston. It was the best atmosphere, and
at the
Coolidge, I had the most fun
at Coolidge Corner. And we threw spoons at the screen.
That was so much fun.
It was
I loved
great.
every second of it.
It was great.
That's it's like one of those Rocky Horror Picture Show things. Yeah, it was so much fun. Everyone there was into it. Ruled.
Yeah.
Give me another one, Nate.
Okay, here's an appropriate question
I'm
for
the
now.
comment eater. I eat questions and comments.
At Cloudy Chain asks, "Are you planning on ending the PCP anytime soon?"
Immediately.
Yes, right now, as a matter of
This
fact.
is the
I've
one.
been fucking begging. You people don't even know. I've been like bringing this up every week, begging. Please, guys, can we vote for it to end? Please, let it end.
The Patreon has only just begun. We have to keep going
Oh,
forever.
God.
All artistic integrity has to be sacrificed.
That
to the
should
altar
be our
of money.
last Patreon goal.
Just
we end the PC.
Just when I
Good idea. We should set that like 100 grand. Yeah.
Video.
just when I
Something
thought I was
like
out,
that.
they started the Patreon, and now I'm stuck here. Just for the
PCP is
fans and the
voluntary,
Skrilla. That's
Jesse.
the only
you
reason
can
I'm
leave
here.
whenever you want.
The fans and the Skrilla are too important to me.
He's what a hero. What a hero.
I'm a true martyr for this fucking podcast.
Oh God. Okay. The rest of these questions are shit. At Gerard asks, Best Gaver, do you recommend the can of beans lunch diet? Absolutely. It's fucking awesome.
God, no!
Just eat a can of beans.
That's the
for
worst.
fuck
That is
lunch.
the worst. This is coming from me. This is coming from me, who will eat anything, and I would
Ben, the
never.
literal
I would
homeless
never
man.
eat a can.
Literally homeless
I
man
would
would
never
never
eat a
do it.
can of uncooked kidney beans. That is the grossest thing I can imagine.
It sounds awesome.
It's not even.
Nate, I have
it is
a
awesome.
can of black beans for lunch on the regular, pretty often.
Good.
You gotta
I
have
like
representation
kidneys.
for those black beans.
Yeah.
Baked beans. Those are good. With tomato
Baked
sauce.
beans are good, but they got sugar and like shit in them.
No, Hippo,
Oh,
Hippo, we're
no.
talking about untopped, undressed, or straight
Yeah.
out of the can with nothing.
That's right.
Ugh.
Stop turning
In
me
a
on,
perfect
man.
world, we'd all eat for survival and nothing else. This whole eating for pleasure
My
meme
little
needs
I
to die.
disagree. I disagree. We're gonna have to bring that into the food cast though, because I
my
am
God.
very much a pro food and everything.
I
that it
didn't even get to
entails.
talk about how much I fucking hate fat people. God damn it, that's the biggest thing.
That's true. That's true. I'm also
Shit.
pro hating fat people. It's very complicated.
And yeah, so fucking fix your diets, people. Okay, well, that's it. All the other questions are garbage. Thanks for watching, everybody. I am an SJW. I take all the blue pills, but I've also taken red pills. I'm dying inside. There's an internal conflict within me. Thanks for watching, everybody. Everybody say
My blue pill.
goodbye.
I need my blue pill. I need my blue
No,
He can go for days.
I can't do this anymore.
Hillary.
I'm supposed to